Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lance McHan Show. My guest today is Terry Wells Brown, which everybody knows Terry, and everybody knows Donald Brown, her husband. They're very active in the community, and she's just written a book that's due to be released here shortly. Women of Wine Country. It's Murder and Mayhem. Yes, sounds diabolical.
It is. It's diabolical.
So is this like a manifesto for Don?
You must
not, but you've given me some ideas. I came across a meme recently that said, it was a writer in a writer group, and it said, if you see me over here chuckling, don't be so happy. I may have just killed you off in the book, which I do that. I've killed him a couple of times.
Oh, that is so funny. Your friend's like, hey, can you put me in your book? Oh,
sure.
yeah. I got
no problem. You just try to figure
read
out.
it, and they're like, you killed me. You put me through a chipper shredder. That's funny.
I do that.
That's terrible, but it's funny.
If you know me, then you know I really will do that.
Oh, man, I'm making myself cry just thinking about that. So,
I've killed him a few times.
So tell us a little bit about Murder and Mayhem.
So Murder and Mayhem is the very first book in the series Women of Wine Country. It is basically the introduction to the kind of world, the community that I've created, based off of where I live.
Woodbridge, California.
But more, largely the Lodi wine appellation. Okay. Because quite frankly, the Lodi wine appellation is no different than all the other pocket appellations all over the country, the world really. Because you have your big wine regions that we all know about, Napa and the wine regions in Tuscany and the different wine regions there's probably like 5 huge ones that we all know about. But there are hundreds of wine appellations like Lodi that nobody knows about, and they're all over the world.
Lodi is coming up though.
Lodi is. We're proud of Lodi, and then Lodi has all of its sub appellations like the McCollum appellation and that kind of thing. So this is basically about a group of women. It's a tribe, a sisterhood.
How many women?
So far I have 9.
Okay.
But in the book there are hundreds.
Okay.
Because the Women of Wine Country group is a altruistic group of women who do charities, and they do things. They're business owners, and they promote
and they kill people if they have to.
The women don't kill people. The writer kills people. The ladies are nice, although some of them are kind of sketchy.
Okay.
Because every girl group has a sketchy one.
Right.
Right? So this is the first one for this particular pocket.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean in the future there wouldn't be, a wine region in France that I write about, or a wine region in Spain that I write about. And in fact, one of the last books that I outline, which is Sloan, her book, she actually is escaping a bad situation and comes from another wine appellation. So we'll learn more about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I've had to do a lot of research to make sure that I'm as close to accurate as possible, because, all the wine people around here will kick my butt if I get it wrong.
Right. But it sounds like you might have to do some traveling to...
That's the hope.
Yes.
That's the hope.
That'd be nice.
And now what started this is that I actually, when the downturn happened, we had a construction company, and nobody had work in 2008 and 2009, right?
Nobody.
So I met and was very fortunate to meet a almond grower, and he, I traveled a lot for his business. I became his vice president, and I traveled a lot for his business and learned when I would say I was from California Zinfandel area or wine region, nobody had any clue where we were here. No. And now you have to remember that this was...
That's what happens when you live in your bubble. You think
everybody knows. And everybody does know here,
right.
But like as soon as you travel out of here, they don't know. People don't know. People don't know Woodbridge. We went on a cruise, a long time ago, like 2004.
When they were safe.
This was a nice cruise. But they had a Robert Mondavi. It was like one of the giant mega ships, where they had a promenade. They had like an indoor mall downstairs. They called it promenade, but it's like an indoor mall. And it was like, it had everything, all these little stores.
It's a mall. It's a city.
And it had this like really cool outdoor.
The only way to go.
It had like a wine store, and it was Woodbridge Robert Mondavi wine store. And you go in, and the wines that we could go down to the wineries and buy for $5.
You're like, look.
They were selling them for like $50.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. I laughed so hard. Here we are, halfway across the world.
Yeah.
And we get on this mega ship, and there's my backyard.
Yeah.
Robert Mondavi, Woodbridge.
It was pretty funny.
Wine.
So anyway.
It's a whole storefront.
Yeah. So anyway, so there was a premise for me to start the books, and like I think I've told you before, the Women of Wine Country initially were going to be a reality show that I was going to do. I have a Women of Wine Country YouTube channel, and I was going to film events at the different wineries in order to showcase them, but have a core group of women that would be kind of the stars
Like
of the
the
show.
housewives
Like
of
the Real
Hollywood.
Housewives or whatever. We never really got to the filming part of it because
So many moving parts in that.
yeah, it was too much.
It was like herding cats.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want you to talk about that.
We won't go there,
Yeah,
Donald.
yeah.
What's your middle name? Don't make me go there.
Yeah, I will kill you
I'm
off.
going to get killed off in the book
And
again.
it's not going to be in the book. It's going to be for real. But anyway.
This book will be evidence in the court of law. Oh my
Stop
gosh.
filming. Anyway, so that was the idea, the premise, and it like he said, it was just I wasn't prepared for how many moving parts. One person can't handle
Oh
that.
yeah, I can imagine.
It's too many personalities, and they have a right. They're very prominent women. They had a right to want to be portrayed in a certain way, but they all didn't have the same idea what that was going to be. So there's just wasn't going to be.
I'm the
meeting of
director.
minds.
You have a say, but you don't have a vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But they're all lovely women. I'm still friends with them today, and there's no issue or anything like that.
That's
But
good.
I had to stop it. So we kind of segued into me backing off from that. But I had started the Women of Wine Country Facebook group. It started growing and growing and growing, and we kind of just backed off from it. I didn't really do anything with it, just had it. And I was focusing more on the construction business and just kind of making sure that we had that going. But then I had been getting sicker and sicker and sicker for 6 years previously. So it's been about 7 years. I've been sick for about 7 years. And each year I got a little sicker and sicker and sicker. So last year I finally was just like bedridden most of the year.
Wow.
And so I wrote. I had been a writer. I'd been writing stories my whole life, but I hadn't shown them to anybody or told anybody about them or anything.
You're a secret author?
Secret author. And I would tell him about it, but I wouldn't let him read anything. And the last year before I got diagnosed finally and got my surgery that put me back to health, I wrote three books, basically.
Wow.
And
I guess when you're sitting in bed bored, you can't do anything else.
well, I mean, that's
your
just
imagination just like, psh,
yeah, and
so
that
productive.
just goes to show you I could have laid there and done nothing.
right.
Or I could lay there and do something. I didn't know how productive I was going to be. I was just doing what I always did when I was uncomfortable or bored. I went into another world, either by reading or writing. And so it always saved me, right? So
I like that.
yeah. So this book was actually not the book I wrote while I was sick.
Oh, wow.
This book was supposed to be the third book.
Okay.
The first book I wrote is Beauty and Betrayal, and that's my third book now. So that book is written. I have to go back and reformulate it because I've changed it because it wasn't Women of Wine Country when I first wrote it. So I had written the first book.
Some of the characters might change.
Some of them might. We might have to add a Lance in there. I actually.
Oh, no.
Oh no! Well, wait. I'll have to tell you a secret, but I can't tell it on here
Okay.
because I'll give everything away. You're not gonna be happy.
She's killing me off. John, me and you're going to
Like you are a starring role in the end of this book. That's all I gotta say. I didn't do it on purpose. It just came to me just now.
All right.
So, do you see it?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you should be scared. So I have no idea
Long as
where I was
how do
at.
they say reality is stranger than fiction? As long as those two paths don't cross, I'm happy.
Wait, you're gonna die when I
Okay.
tell you.
All right.
Your wife may enjoy reading it though.
Yeah, she
Well,
likes
if
reading.
she's irritated with you.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
We'll send this book home to her
All
then,
right,
okay?
all right.
So I completely lost track.
So
of
you were talking about this is the
Oh,
third.
this was going to be the third book. Yes. So I'm like, I told Dawn, well, I've written 2 books. I've outlined, by then I think it was only 5 I had outlined. And I said, I've written 2 books. We're outside talking. I think I really like this. He hadn't read any of my stories yet. I said, I think I really like this writing and I think it's something I can do. And my books aren't any worse than some of the books that I've been reading.
Oh,
right. So that's
true.
what I said. Because I can consume easily. I can consume 6 books in a week.
Wow.
I'm a avid reader. Like I'm a quick reader and I can really devour. We used to get
Ferocious.
in fights because I would go buy books and buy books and buy books. And then I'd have boxes and boxes of books because I would just consume them. So when the e-readers came out and my iPad came out and he couldn't see how many books I was buying,
Oh my
it
God.
was like a revelation happened. I was like buying whatever I wanted. He had no idea. I'm like, I'm
garage stacks of
working.
books, you know?
I'm working. I'm on my iPad working. And I'm reading, you know.
Wow.
So that's a little secret you didn't know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so the story with this is that we were outside and I said, I think I'm going to do this. And I said, but I need to have a name for the series and I don't know what it is. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know what it is? Women in Wine Country, you've had that group forever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God.
What it should be.
You know, I don't know why I didn't think about
Right,
that.
right.
So I was like, oh my God, he was so right. But then I had to like, okay, this isn't going to work. Because
So when did you read the first book?
it was already after I had gotten Women in Wine Country done. I had decided that the first two books weren't going to work in the way that I needed to structure the series in order to introduce the community and the women. And so I had to make the first book, the third book, the second book was going to be okay. And I needed to bring Isabella, which is this story, up to the first book.
Okay.
And it wasn't until, I mean, gosh, I already had beta readers.
You had beta readers, but you needed somebody to start editing, go through it, and look at the storyline, make sure it had some cohesion, that there weren't some storyline mistakes.
Yeah.
And, you know, some punctuation and just typos, really.
Yeah.
It was really just typos. You know,
So-
right and it's ND.
And
Isn't
and
it?
I'm going to tell him something else too that he may not know. I needed somebody who wasn't going to let me make a fool of myself.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I knew Don well enough to know that he knew my capabilities, that I have the ability to make money, whatever I decide to put my energy towards. And I knew for a fact that he wasn't going to let me spend all my day writing if I wasn't going to be productive.
If you're not good at it.
If I'm not good
That's
at
true.
it.
That's true.
And he wasn't going to let me. He would be like, it's a hobby. You love it.
So
it's
if
great.
it was, I need some help here.
Gotta live in Realville.
So
we have to keep a roof
so if
over
it
our
was
head.
terrible,
He
how would
would've-
you have
I
said
can
it?
tell you how he would have said it. He would have said, this is a hobby. It's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. But this isn't where
You
your
suck,
focus-
babe.
No,
But-
I'll support you.
I'll support you, but this isn't where your
But this
focus
isn't,
should
this
be.
isn't, this
That's
isn't going
so
to be your
He would
business.
say,
correct.
this isn't where
Yeah.
your focus should be.
Yeah.
You know, he'd be kind and would be gentle because he's always careful with me,
Right.
as you should be.
Yeah, I know.
Lance, holy moly, I'm going to have to get your wife.
I'm just, you know.
She's just a
She
guy.
reads this book, she's going to be smacking you with it.
Yeah.
Because she knows what's in it.
Yeah.
This would be her,
So,
her private joke.
So I had beta readers already, and I was at a point where
So beta readers, like.
So
you
beta
send it out
readers
to
are people who don't know me. People who don't know me that I can find, that I can send chapters to with a questionnaire, that are willing to read my chapters, give me honest feedback as a reader, not as a writer, but as a
Okay.
reader, somebody who consumes books like I would have. Whale
Okay.
readers is what we call them. And send me back, whatever questions I am looking for specifically. My questionnaires change by book.
Okay. That makes
And-
sense.
yeah.
So that way you get an unbiased feedback
Yes.
from somebody who doesn't know you.
Yes.
Who's not, they don't care about your feelings
Yes,
at that
because,
point.
Exactly.
Because I had, like my biggest cheerleader, who is Maria. Next to him, he's my first, but Maria, who is like, she takes care of my house for me.
Okay.
But she's with me 4 days a week, and we married her daughter to my son so we could make sure and keep the family together.
Right,
So
cohesion.
we're family now, and then her daughter Samantha, who worked for me as well. She's a assistant of mine. She runs a construction company for me, and I had them doing some beta reading for me. But the thing is those two loved me so much that I didn't trust them.
Yeah.
I didn't trust that I was getting the right feedback.
How do you, I mean, Don has,
So I gave
perfect
him-
way
so
of like
what
letting
I
it down,
did-
but sometimes like, oh yeah, it's great. I love it. And they may love it just because it's from you.
Yes,
Well, that's
and
just
that's
it.
what I was
That's
worried
just
about.
it.
And so that's when I decided I'd gotten the beta readers. I started getting feedback. I was getting the same kind of feedback that I was getting from Maria. I'm like, God, we love it. We love this. This is what I found. These kinds of things. And I thought, okay, I need to let him read it because I need to know. Is this really? Because this is taking a lot of my time.
Everybody's telling me it's good. It's like,
Yeah, but is it really? And I don't want to
be.
be embarrassed. I didn't want to humiliate myself, one. And that wasn't as big of an issue because I'm 53 right now and I
Right.
kind of don't care. I humiliate myself all day and it's all right. I do it for sport with my grandbabies, right?
Right.
And then, but two, I didn't want to put all this energy into something that wasn't going to go anywhere. Because writing is hard. You don't make a lot of money on
I'm not
writing
good
until
at it,
you got
I
a ton
admit.
of books out.
And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for my wife as an English teacher, I'd probably people
exactly.
wouldn't understand a damn thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You're constantly editing your own post. I mean, so
Yeah.
anyway,
She, like,
so I
texts me,
find.
you messed up on your Facebook post. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I finally gave him some of the chapters and I said, okay, I need you to read this. I need you to be honest with me, knowing that he would be. And I'll never forget it. I'll get emotional talking about it.
Was he
I
sitting on
talk
the
about
couch
it
with
in
a
my
glass
book.
of wine,
It's in
tear
my.
drying nose?
Yes, he did. He read it.
You killed me off.
No. But,
Wasn't that far along.
so say what happened.
I was reading it, and I was like, "Oh my God,
This is really good.
who the hell are you?
That's what he said. And I
Where you
was
been all this
writing.
time? You can write."
Wow.
And I was overwhelmed with joy.
That's pretty
For
cool.
her, for us. I was amazed. I was just like, wow, this is real. Okay, yes, you do need to put
Some
your
more
time
effort
into
in there,
this.
yeah.
This doesn't have to be a hobby. This could be a career.
That's amazing.
And I was, and then I was already behind her, and supportive of her, but it really did change things. Okay, now we need to invest some money and make it easier for her.
You were more willing
And
to open up
I was
your
on board.
pocket.
I was on board.
Let's go,
Now
man.
he's like,
I was
how much
already
did you
on
read
board to a
today?
certain extent, but now that I realize that
How much money
she
do
really
you
does
need?
have a talent for this.
Yeah, that's what he was.
Okay.
He's like, okay, you need an
Let's-
assistant to run the office. You need to be writing. What else do you need from me? What
Yeah.
can I do? What's this
Yeah.
thing?
For sure.
And then I had surgery, and so during all of this I had surgery, and my health came back, and he was instrumental in helping me, but it also allowed me to sit and write some more because I had to recover from that. So
Right.
so it's been a good year.
Nice.
It's been a really good
Congratulations.
year. So Murder and Mayhem is the very first book in the series. What's really cool. So the way it works is August 13th, my 54th birthday, is when it was set to release. The ebook releases then, but with Amazon, and this is something you only learn when you do it, right?
Right. Amazon and their rules.
And their rules, they released the paperback, even though they kept the ebook as a pre-order. And I thought they would keep it all as a pre-order, but you can't pre-order a paperback, only an ebook. So I didn't know that.
I would think it'd be the other way around.
Yeah, so-
okay, we got it in digital world. You can order the digital version now, and the paperback would have to wait because they have to get them printed and bind and and ship them off.
So anyway,
But no.
so my girlfriends, who were, I love them all dearly, and I've been astounded by the amount of support that I've had by my tribe. People that just barely know me, people that have just only met me on Facebook, or people in my
I
community.
think that's because they see all the good things you do.
It's
in the
been
community.
amazing. It's been amazing, and I've actually sat and cried a couple of times. I'm gonna get emotional right now talking about it, so let's move on. But,
Okay.
I'm like, don't let me ugly cry, because I will. And I'll wipe it all over your jacket.
I can just picture that right
Yeah. So, but they went on to pre-order it and found that they could buy it, and they got it.
Oh.
So then I start getting all these pictures on Instagram and Facebook of people who've gotten their books already.
now. Oh, wow.
For
And
her.
I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even gotten my books
What?
yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Readers are getting their books before she got her copy.
Before my author copies came, and then my printed version. So,
Wow, that's
but
crazy.
then what's really nice is I had a lot of anxiety when people started buying the book. I trusted him and my beta readers and everything, but I had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
That's a lot to put yourself out there.
Putting it all out there.
Yeah,
And people
and
are mean with their reviews.
People
too.
are mean on social media.
Yelp and social media.
People are
They tear
mean,
you apart.
but not my tribe. My tribe are amazing. I started getting text messages from girls us women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm at this point. I can't believe blah blah blah. Or I want my own. I can't say any of the stuff, right? And then I just have another gal who's a psychologist. She got the book, and she's like, I bought the book for you because you wrote it, and I want to support you.
Right.
But now I've stayed up till midnight. I got
One of the other
appointments in
three
the
coming
morning.
out.
She's sneaking
that's
it to
what she
work.
said.
to
She's
sneaking
like,
it to
she
work.
took it to work so she could read it in between her clients.
wow.
And then she texted me last night while I was at National Night Out, and she's like, I just finished it. Wynn's book 2 or 3 coming out, which is exactly what you want.
Heck yeah.
That's what any
author.
author prays for.
That's
right?
amazing.
So I'm pulling these women into this world. It's a very female empowering book. but it's like anything that you have to be entertained. So it's about a sisterhood of women. That is the first and foremost thing that it's about. It's about women taking care of each other.
It's beautiful.
And still being women. Like we're still girls. We're still wearing high heels. We're still yelling at each other. We're still getting mad and we're still crying and all of the things. There's obviously a love story because women want to read about love.
Right.
Love is everything, right? And then there has to be murder and mayhem because, you got to kick it up a notch.
Yeah, a little extra drama.
And there are things in the book that like certain roads that I describe that are real. And so that
have you named them? Like,
I did not rename them. I have what I've done. The only thing I've done is make a fictional town called Harmony Grove.
Okay.
Now, that fictional town will serve as kind of Woodbridge, Acampo, Lodi, it's kind of like going to be like that area.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that in future books I won't call out, because in future books I am Stockton.
Okay.
And I can't tell you why, but I'll tell you when we're not on.
Okay.
Stockton, Lodi, Woodbridge, all of them will be called out eventually during the books as they move on. But so Harmony Grove is kind of like one of the little wine towns, just like the Woodbridge and all of it. I wanted to make sure that I drew attention to the area in a positive way, but yet still, it has to still be fun.
Are you going to do an audiobook?
I am doing an audiobook. Oh. It'll probably be out in September.
Are you going to record it yourself?
No. There's a lot of studies that show that an author-read narrated book sells better than a professional, but I don't have time.
Okay.
I don't have time. And I cry.
I do know a good sound guy who has some amazing mics for sale.
Yes.
That's okay. I'm going to go through audio and let them handle it, or Audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I do a lot of Audible.
AUX or something like that. It's the production.
Okay. I do a lot of Audible because I don't have time to read, but I get tired of listening to the same old music on the radio, or I even switched to sports radio because I was tired of all the other stuff that was on there. I'm like, started learning about sports. I don't even watch sports. And so I decided if I'm going to be driving, I might as well try to get some knowledge, and so I just started doing Audible, so I love it.
Oh, I love it. I've done Audible books since when I started commuting for my work. I would listen to books that pertain to
on tape.
Yeah,
and then it went to CD.
Yes. Well, I was doing the
CDs.
Not CDs, the iTunes version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would learn how to cost manufacture, because I was running manufacturing facilities at the time. And so I was teaching myself as I was driving down about
to work,
how to, So, and it was good. It was very productive.
What other books you have coming out? We were talking off the air about.
So I haven't, this is my, T. Wells Brown is my pen name for Murder and Mayhem, or We're in Wine Country series. And then I do have another series of books that I'm writing, another classification, and it's under the pen name Ya Brown, and it is children's books. So the first one is The Adventures of Annie the Nanny Dog, and I'm hoping that will be out by Christmas. I'm not 100% sure. If it doesn't come out this Christmas, it'll have to be next Christmas.
Speaking of Christmas, didn't you do a Santa Claus thing or something last night?
Yeah, we did. So we were on Good Day Sacramento yesterday.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yesterday morning. Awesome. So we donned the red dress and the white hair, and we were on Good Day.
Santa was there.
The Lodi Young Professionals were they're having the casino night this Friday.
Okay.
And that funds the free pictures with Santa.
Nice.
So Santa and Mrs. Claus showed up for that.
Amazing.
Yeah,
you guys.
Fun stuff.
You guys do a lot of. I was there last year for Christmas, and just watching the kids' face as they walked up to you.
That's why we do it.
It was amazing.
So awesome.
I freaking loved it.
Beautiful innocence and the love they give Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
That one special, I'll never forget that when we were leaving together, and that special needs kid. You stopped and talked to him. His face was unbelievable. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it right now. He was so happy.
We get a lot back. It's a long. Every time we do it, it's a long day. We're beat at the end of it, but it's never once have we regretted it. It's always really rewarding. We get a lot back.
And then we do the Woodbridge. So the first weekend of December, the first full weekend, I think it's the 7th and 8th, is the Young Professionals, Free Pictures with Santa, downtown Lodi. And then Woodbridge, we do, Mr. and Mrs. Claus put on a Christmas festival in Woodbridge on the second weekend of December. And
Well, I'm going to have to make sure I'm out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
everybody's
make
welcome.
sure
You don't
you
have to
come.
live in Woodbridge to
And
come.
it's
We
a
put it
toy
on.
drive for the fire department, our Woodbridge Fire Department. They are amazing guys. They do amazing things for our community. And so we try to help them anytime we can. And so all of December is basically us doing Mr. and Miss Claus show up.
Right.
We should talk about DHS and do free pictures with Mr. and Mrs. Claus
Oh,
out
that'd
at
be great.
DHS.
That'd be great.
And like come and like maybe even set the parking lot up as Santa's workshop.
Oh.
You could use all of my stuff. So,
Okay.
We have a whole storage unit full of just Christmas.
yeah.
Nice.
Just we're like
Just Christmas.
yeah,
It's all
like-
it. It's a big storage
But
unit.
we don't do it for pay. We only do it for fundraising, and we only do it for free for the kids. So we would never. We've been
don't
asked
do
many
corporate.
times to do lots of shows.
Well, you
Or
guys,
for pay.
you guys nailed it.
That's not our thing.
You
It's
two nailed
fun.
it. I didn't even know it was Dawn. Like I saw her, I'm like, where's Dawn? And he was like,
She's like right there.
Santa's waving at me. I'm like, she's like right there. I'm like, oh wow, you guys do an amazing job.
We also do for the fire department for Woodbridge.
Yeah.
So they can participate in their own Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them doesn't have to suit up.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure
That's
that
pretty cool.
they get to be with their family.
Yeah, because a lot of times the fire department, one of the guys is Santa Claus.
Well, that's just it. Yeah.
And they have to on the when they go. So our fire department goes every day. They pick 1 week in December, and they're out for going into separate neighborhoods. Our fire district is 197 miles, so we have 4 stations. It's much larger than anybody realizes.
Wow.
We have a top of the line fire department. Woodbridge Fire is a pretty amazing.
They're outstanding.
I'd love to get you interviewing some of these guys.
Well, let's make it happen.
I'll set it up. Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
They are such outstanding guys, and the fire district is quite unique.
Maybe we could actually do it on site.
Let's do it. I'll set it up. Let's talk afterwards, and I'll set it up.
I'll set up with the engineer.
So let's go back to my book.
All right. Yeah, we go back on because you guys do so much. It's kind of
There's
like
firemen
hard
in
to
it. There's
focus.
firemen in it.
Okay.
Hot firemen. For the ladies.
So I have 9 books outlined with this. Hopefully, I'll have 2 more out by the end of this year. I'm hoping to have 2 more out by the end of this year. And then I have another series coming out. It's going to be, I have no idea what the first title is because I wanted it to be Day of the Dead because it's based on the Day of the Dead mythology even before Aztec times.
Okay. Wow.
And it's going to be kind of a young adult fantasy type thing, you know. But when you type in Day of the Dead with books, the Walking Dead stuff comes up. And it's so irritating. So I have to figure that all out. And then I have another book that's coming out that's very similar to this or series.
I wouldn't even thought about that far ahead. Like you have to think your title where it's
what's
searchable.
really interesting is that I belong to a lot of writer groups and I have writing coaches because I believe in educating myself. Whatever I don't know, I'll learn. Even if I have somebody else do it for me, I still want to know how it's done and why.
Right.
So I had a lot of writers that I realize most people who write approach it as a writer, whereas I've approached it as an entrepreneur. Once he told me that you can do something with this, you're going to be able to make money, he kind of validated that. And so I approached it from industrial. So I looked at the industry.
But just the thought process of I got to be searchable, so I
Yes.
can't have a name
Yes.
that is going to be overrun by millions
Yes.
of other
Yes.
Walking Dead.
Lance, there are so many great writers out there that never get their stuff out, either because they don't know how to or they don't have the courage to.
So that's a very good point I want to bring up. I want to say I've published this book and I'm going to publish a ton more books before my life is over. And this is what I will do for the rest of my life. And with each book, I'll get better. I have another series that are going to be coming out that's called True Crime. The name of the series will be Wine Country Killers. And I've already started interviewing people. We've got the first 3 books slated and I'm co-writing them with other people.
Wow.
But so that's a
Nonfiction.
nonfiction thing.
Okay.
So, but what I want to say is, I'm enjoying my writing, but there are way better writers than me that will never be published. And why won't they be published? Because they don't have the push or the grit or the courage to go push themselves out there because it's scary.
It's the grit.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's hard. And, there's a lot of books on this, and there's a really good book called Grit that's out there that will tell you
it's
that
on my list.
there's a lot of
listen to.
talented people out there that are not the foremost in their industry because they don't have the grit to keep going and keep going and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So when people knock me down or somebody comes back and says something, because, people will come and say something to try to bring you down. I don't care who you are.
Everybody does.
Everybody does it. Or everybody receives it. If you put yourself out there in any way, you've got to have the wherewithal to either
Thick skin.
insulate yourself from it or build up a thin skin or thicker skin. And I've been intentionally doing things that would thicken my skin up so that I would be prepared. And it's working, but it's been taking measured things for me to do,
Right.
knowing I would get backlash so that I could survive it.
Yeah, sustain it.
And then there are some things that I'm only letting these guys handle. I'm very fortunate in my support. I have my sons and I have my husband, and they're all 100% behind me. And they, the things that I can't handle, they insulate me from. So there's been some business stuff that I was like, look, I need this to be handled, but I don't want to have this relationship. I need to keep the creative relationship going, but I need this addressed.
I got you.
And him or
business.
Brandon will go in and
Yeah.
say, we need to handle
Good
this
cop,
this
bad
way.
cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it allows me to
Not
keep
always
a
necessarily
creative.
bad cop.
No, but
It's just
it's kind of
business sometimes gets in the way of creativity, which is another point I was going to bring up about an artist, including writers.
right.
Is they may be a great artist, great writer, but they also have to have some kind of business sense too,
Right.
to be successful.
makes sense, because sometimes-
at least just enough business sense to know that you need somebody else to handle it for you if you
Yeah.
can't.
Right. That makes perfect sense, because if you're trying to wear both hats and you get knocked down on the business side, it could affect your creativity
Oh,
side.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're just
100%.
like, I'm done with this.
And
Let
it
me
affects
tell you.
relationships too.
Yeah, and let me tell you, authors are it's hard to write and to put yourself out there and to have people read your stuff. And you want to hear right back from them that it's okay. Like you
Right.
need that validation to keep going. So it's weird for me because I've never really needed validation from anybody to keep myself going. I've always been pretty confident.
Right.
So I always say about this is not confidence. This is courage, because I haven't been confident at all.
Heck yeah.
I've just been had a little bit of courage and drew a lot of courage from him to propel myself forward. So before we wrap up, I do want to say two things. One, the launch. I don't know if we're getting ready to wrap up or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
But
Perfect timing. You're reading my mind.
the launch party is August 31st from 2 to 5 at the Woodbridge Crossing in Woodbridge, California. We're going to have a mimosa bar. There are a ton of raffles. We're having a red shoe raffle. So any of the gals who wear red shoes, girls only, sorry guys.
Damn.
You get a special ticket with a special raffle. So you'll get a red shoe. It's all of the good things. September 14th, I will be speaking to the San Joaquin Valley Writers Group about marketing your books. And then October, I think it's the 14th, I'm going to be at the Great Valley Book Festival, which is in Manteca at the Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, wow.
It's a big deal. There are hundreds of authors there, and they come from all over to do it. And if you have any questions, you can get me on T. Wells Brown on my Facebook page or womenofwinecountry.com. And then we also have a Women of Wine Country podcast. And I have several episodes up now, but I'm starting a new segment called Women and Wealth. And it is discussing the marketing, the trademarking. I just got my trademark last night for Women of Wine Country. So there's all of the things and the steps that I've taken
Okay.
that apply to
So
all
you're helping
industry to
educate.
help other women.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, you have to get me those links. They'll be in the post below.
Absolutely.
So we'll have those for everybody.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Terry and Dawn, for stopping by. I really appreciate you guys. You guys do a lot of amazing stuff at the community. But so it's a good thing for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Lance.
everybody.
Thanks.
Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Right.